Yeah, I'm here.
Kevin, nice to meet you, buddy.
Nice to meet you, Dale. I'm working on video here. I use a setup with a laptop in clamshell mode, so I'm trying to make this work. I just need a minute or so to
Okay.
get the video to come up.
All right. So in the meantime, Kevin, I want to congratulate you. You did launch. I was telling people about the name of your FX brokerage firm, fxpig. What a great name. No one will forget that name, will they?
No, they definitely won't. We get some slack here and there for the name, but that was kind of the point. So yeah, it works as intended, but it's definitely not. You won't find a clone of fxpig online. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's great marketing because people will remember it, and everyone's going to say, well, bulls and bears make money, pigs don't. But I have a feeling that you can make a pig fly. And welcome to the live analysis room. We're a den of lions, and we always welcome any other animal spirit. So I read in your email that you've been in every business imaginable before you came to get involved in the FX industry and got involved with fxpig. You want to tell us a little bit about your varied background and how this happened for you to get involved in the FX industry?
Sure. Well, I think since my first business that I actually came into was in 1997, 98, and that was a cell phone. I actually had a cell phone kiosk. It's a long story, but long story short, essentially, is that we had a friend of mine knew the owners of a large electronics store, who at the time didn't want to get involved in cell phones because they didn't believe it was they thought it was going to be somewhere along the line of the pager, and that it was really just going to be a fad, and nobody was going to want a cell phone.
They're not in business anymore, are they?
No, they're not actually. They closed down in 2000.
Yeah.
So anyway, we put a kiosk inside, and this store was pretty popular in the area where it was located. So we put a kiosk inside the store selling cell phones. It exploded. From there, I came to Mexico, actually. I've been traveling here, I don't know, 3-4 times a year. I wanted to give it a go to try to live here. When you're young, you do kind of off the cuff and sometimes really stupid things. So I traveled to Mexico, and another long story, really short. Ended up being almost homeless for about 6 months. Between lost my passport, I could probably write a movie about what happened to me in those 6 months. So once everything was straightened out, I got into the laundry business. I opened not money laundering, but a laundry business, as in laundering clothes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where in Mexico? Where did this happen in Mexico? And where are you talking to us from right now?
Okay. Initially landed in Cancun, Mexico.
Okay.
Almost 17 years ago.
Okay.
I lived this initial part of the story is in Cancun. I lived in Cancun for about 9 years, and then with my wife relocated to where she was from, which is Chihuahua, which is northern Mexico. And then from there we ended up in Cabo San Lucas and San Jose del Cabo, so Los Cabos on the west coast. Yeah. And now we're back in the Cancun area, and I'm talking to you from Playa del Carmen, which is about 45 minutes outside.
Yeah, I was, every once in a while I think about being an international man, and I was thinking about Cabo as being kind of a nice little enclave with a lot of expats there. So in Mexico, it's a very natural resource-based economy. How are you enjoying your life in Mexico? Sounds like this has become your adopted country. Where are you originally from?
United States. So I was born in Virginia, raised in Connecticut, and I've been here 17 years. So yeah, it's definitely I've spent more of my adult life in Mexico than in the United States. I travel back very frequently, so I'm there, I don't know, sometimes up to 12 times a year. This year I haven't been back as much, but so I do travel frequently. But yeah, this is definitely my adopted country.
Okay.
You know, we've always lived here, except for the Chihuahua spat where we lived there for about 2 years. We've always lived in tourist areas, so the economy is a little than the whole of Mexico. Really, everything's different. It's definitely a different lifestyle. So,
has it been advantageous to you business-wise to be an expat living in another country? Has it been an advantage for you to see that the world is bigger than just wherever you were brought up? I mean, my U.S. experience is born in Chicago and a transplant in Chicago in San Diego. What kind of perspective has it given you being in a foreign country, and are there business advantages of being an expat?
Definitely, there's advantages and disadvantages depending on where you are and if you speak the local language. I'm fluent in Spanish, so that gives definitely an edge because. But I think traveling, even if you don't live in another area, always is going to boost your ability to communicate with other people, to be able to communicate more on a name basis type of thing, where you have a little bit of knowledge. If you've been to where they live, or if you've been to the corner of the world or the region where they are, you might have some local experience, and you're able to have a little different rapport with people. So I think that helps. Here in Mexico, you know, Forex, especially in Mexico, is still unknown.
Embryonic? Embryonic?
Yeah. Probably pre-embryonic, really, for most. In embryonic, they might actually know, I think I've heard of that once, and maybe they're wrong, and they give you the definition completely off base, but here, a lot of people don't even know what it is. They know what currency exchange is because they live that every day.
Right.
But they don't really know what FX is. So, but it's, you know, and one of the big issues here, too, is there was, a couple years ago, there was a fraud online called Forex Macro, and it was essentially a Ponzi scheme. And that business, almost every person from, not so much Mexico, somewhat, but anywhere in South America, anywhere in almost all Latin America, they know what that is, and they assume Forex is tied to that company. So it's a little bit of, Forex can be a difficult, somewhat difficult, at least in Latin America, to get past that, let's say, fraud namesake. You know, a lot of people tie.
Okay, so you're trying to establish awareness in Mexico. Where is fxpig domiciled, and who regulates it?
Sure, we have a very modern company. So from the start, when I started the business, I never envisioned us, regardless of how large, how big the business was, to ever have, you know, a $45,000 a month office space with 200 employees. I don't see that beneficial to a business that relies on low latency, cross the pond communications and 24/7 worldwide support services. It just doesn't. I've never really. I see it from the as far as we want to have a nice office and give our clientele that we make money and we sure know how to spend it. But other than that, and obviously there's some delegation issue. I mean, it's easier to delegate when you're in an office with everybody. That makes sense. But overall, I didn't really see the reason for us to go that route. So we're very spread out across the globe. So I myself, like as you already know, I'm in Mexico. Our actual head office is in New Zealand. We have an office manager and compliance staff inside that New Zealand office, and that's on our website. You know, the address is on our website. That's that Auckland-based office. Support happens.
Go ahead.
No, I'll get to the regulation. I'm just I'm going through how we're set up, just so everybody gets an idea.
I'm getting an echo, Kevin. Are you inside the line?
I am on a. As you notice, I'm not wearing a headphone because to be honest, I couldn't find it this morning, and I'm in my home office rather than my office. So that might be why you're getting an echo.
I mean, have you logged into the LAR page on the internet? Because sometimes guests do that because they want to see where they're giving the interview, and sometimes that causes the feedback. But now it's okay again.
Okay, I leaned in a bit, so maybe that's the
okay.
Maybe that's the ticket.
It was my voice that was echoing.
Okay. No, I'm not logged in. I'm not on. I'm just inside the chat here.
Okay.
So our support-based services are based out of Eastern Europe, mostly Macedonia. So most of our support is based there. Then our CFO is based in Belgium. Our CTO is in Italy. And we have several other support staff that are based in India and Russia. So we have a very worldwide. Basically, we're almost in every region we have clients. We have some type of staff. So it's definitely a different business model than I think your old FX business.
So you were in the lawn. You started off in cell phones. I'm still hearing myself. And then you went into the laundry business. How did you end up looking at FX as an opportunity?
So I went from the laundry business, as you mentioned. I went into several different businesses here: real estate, retail, and food service. And we owned a bar for a bit. Me and my wife and I. Through the whole time, ever since the internet really became something that people could have in their homes. So AOL time, and when you used to get a disc in the mail every 3 days for AOL, and CompuServe, businesses that literally almost no longer exist. I tried to find a way to make money online. So I think anything you could possibly think of online, I probably tried it. And I had small businesses, subscription-based businesses here and there throughout the years, a long time ago at this point. But I stumbled onto Forex. I think I saw a webinar one time in 2000 or so about the Forex market and how big it was and how, of course, easy it was to make money, which obviously we all know at this point that that's not really the case. But so I started trading.
Tough way to make an easy buck is what a veteran told me when I was a rookie.
Sure, it's I think and I think that the only reason I change it sometimes, Dale. So just excuse me, but I have to comment on this one. The one thing I think about any market trading, really anything, is discipline. So our human nature is not to be disciplined, and is to go and is to just to do things because we feel an impulse to do them. So that's really the reason for it, because I tell clients a lot of times, a disciplined person that has experience in the market could take a dart, throw it at a dartboard, and if he hits the piece of paper that says sell, he'll sell. If it says buy, he'll buy. And he'll still make more money than you do using a system where another market professional makes money and using it automated. And the reason for that is that you're going to close those trades or open new trades based on the fact that you have impulses. Where this veteran is going to stick to a plan, and if that buy goes wrong, he's going to get out of it. And if it goes right, he's going to trail up, get out at the highest point. And that's why he's going to make money.
You're right. Impulse,
I generally think
you're right. Exactly. Impulse trading is the biggest enemy of any trader.
Exactly. So I think one of those isn't difficult. We're wired as human beings to make it just everything. I mean that's kind of just the way we are. So anyway, some people who are disciplined people in the real world tend to be able to become traders much quicker than your normal because of that impulse. So,
so what makes fxpig different than other FX brokers? And I'm going to try not to talk for a while because I keep hearing my echo. But are you an ECN type broker? Do you trade against your book? What kind of broker and what is unique about fxpig besides the name?
Sure. Well, we'll start at the name. So the name is unique, for sure. I basically started at the time when I started the brokerage. 2010 is when we initially started. We didn't know 11. with actual to the public. But 2010 is when we started. It was initially started because I was a trader. I traded, and I was an IB, and I had about 15 different IB relationships at the time. And wow. Even as an IB, it was difficult for me to work with most of because I even gave them a lot of business for a non-institutional IB. It was still hard to work with them. You know, I can't stand talking to sales guys. Even today, when I have to go to a bank or an LP to talk to a sales guy, just kills me. I can't stand it. You get the same even on the institutional side. You get the same runaround you get when you're a retail guy trying to open an account or get it. I realized at that point that something needed to change, that there wasn't, aside the fact from at that time we're talking about everybody was pretty much a bucket broker and everybody was pretty much a market maker and everybody was pretty much lying about that fact, which still happens ever so often. With technology, allowed brokers to lie and not about it at the same time based on their structure, so it's gotten a little clouded over the years. But what I really wanted was a broker that was a little more niche, something where clients would know who they were talking to, where the CEO and the CFO and the CTO and all the people behind the brokerage would actually deal with clients, and and everybody was knowledgeable about what they were talking about. There was no sales staff. When you talk to FX, you never talk to a salesperson. We don't have any. I wanted a different experience, and then built on that experience, I wanted a little more transparency. And I think, without tooting our own horn here, fxpig was really, people don't know this because we've never been, we just started our first advertising campaign 3 days ago. So, and that's really because of the launch of the new website, no other reason. So and our pricing is completely different than everybody else, just like our site is. We don't say the lowest spreads everywhere, open a demo account, we'll give you free monopoly money, and all these other stupid taglines that every other broker uses. So we've grown generic naturally and over the course of this this entire time. And I think we were the first broker to really offer fixed message confirmations to clients. We were really the first broker to tout transparency. Now there's a few others in the market, Global Prime, I think maybe even IC markets. I don't think the big boys have started getting in yet. Pepperstone might. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But we were the first ones to do that. The only reason nobody knows about that is because only our clients know about that, because we didn't publish it anywhere.
Why don't you explain to people what exactly that is?
Sure. So regardless of the platform you trade on, right? When you send a message to another institutional provider, so a bank or a hedge fund or whoever, there's a messaging system that was created, antiquated like everything else in it, an antiquated system that was created. Basically, I might be wrong on this, but I'm going to say somewhere around 1998, and then the Fix 4.4, which everybody uses now, was somewhere around 2004 or 5. I could be wrong on that, but you can check the facts on that one, but it should be close. So Fix is essentially, it's financial information exchange, and it's basically like a text message. It's like an SMS message that gets sent from whoever initiates a trade, whoever receives it, and then a confirmation is sent back to whoever sent the trade, with basically telling you, okay, you were filled at this point, and if you were filled at this point, who filled you, what the price was, what the price you wanted was, basic information on your trade execution. So if a market-making broker takes your trade, they don't have a fixed confirmation, because essentially they hold that trade in-house, and they don't send it anywhere. So asking for a fixed confirmation.
What's the advantage for a broker not sending that out and holding it in-house? Is it to trade against that person, or what's the edge?
I think that's a common misconception, because if there's a small market-making broker, let's say brand new to the market, that's 5 days old, with a $30 website, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of them. I see them all the time. If it's that type of broker where they have no infrastructure and no money, their book essentially is they don't do anything. You send a trade, they just let it sit in empty or whatever they may be using as a front-end GUI for their clients to trade on. And that's it. They figure most people are going to lose, so they'll make that money, and that's it. And they operate like a casino. But that really isn't the norm. Our but all banks are market makers, right? So all large institution hedge funds and things like that are normally market makers. So they don't necessarily make money when you lose or lose money when you win, because what they essentially do is they manage a book in-house. So every trade that comes in goes, they hedge with other partners, or they hold positions based on their overall book within the market. So their overall holdings, they hold them. Banks, on the other hand, will just play back and forth for commission and swap. So while they do have a book, their traders at the bank don't usually speculate. They used to, not anymore, because they can't most of the time because of regulations. But their traders, what they do is they trade the book. They manage that book and trade with other books, other banks, other market makers. So it's a misconception when most traders think, oh my God, they're a market maker, I don't want to trade there. At the end of the day, your trade is going to a market maker at some point, because a bank is more likely going to be the last, the buck stops there at some point. So we're not a market maker, and we never will be. One, not because I don't think it's moral or there's something wrong with it, because there isn't. If you operate as a market maker, a professional market maker, you make money.
Is it because of the risk of being a market maker that you would not want to be one?
It has to do. Well, one is more managing risk. I think we could manage it well, but it is an additional administrative task, which adds on cost on that side, even if it's not a risk cost. It does risk, and we essentially try to take risk off our books. But really, to be honest with you, more so today, where it comes into play, beside the administrative aspect. One, we've been marketing ourselves for 6 years, 5 years, as a transparent STP, straight through product we hold, and we don't change. So that's one. The second overall reason, to be honest with you, not to run a market maker, is essentially because, well, it's something that. This comes into the risk side. Current marketplace, where we've intervention, where we'll probably have more interventions, where we're going to have some type of currency war, where those have always existed, but more so coming down the pike here. When you're a market maker, you still pull in pricing from a bank to show, so you're still going to show some type of bank pricing, and those bank pricing have spread spikes and things, and then you have to manage a book around someone else's pricing. And that is difficult. The managing a book is not that difficult, but managing a book around institutional pricing that you can't control, because at this point we don't have 100,000 clients. We can't really chart our own pricing, because we're not going to have enough in book to be able to have and Barclays, for instance, or UBS or whoever love to send non-filtered pricing into their platform. So we would have to try to create a book around non-filtered pricing, and that, at the end of the day, is the difficult aspect of being a market maker.
Okay.
At least
being a former being from the U.S., we have very limited choices now, based upon everyone fleeing the U.S. because of Dodd-Frank or after the financial crisis. U.S. citizens are now, it's like they have leprosy. Can a U.S. citizen open an account with fxpig?
Unfortunately, we're pretty strict on our KYC and AML, and due to that same law in 2011, we do not accept U.S. resident clients.
Maybe Donald Trump will give FX traders more of a choice, but when he's making America great again.
Yeah, I've said that same line to many people, so we'll see. We could talk about politics for a long time, but I don't really know. This year is something that no one's ever seen, at least living. No one's ever seen anything similar to this living. I'm sure things like this have happened in the 1800s, late, but living, I don't think anybody's ever seen this. So it's interesting. I'll tell you what, in my life, I've never watched, up until this year, a political debate, ever. And that's not because I don't like politics. Politics, I think, anybody that likes to look at the world and really things and have intelligent conversations with their dinner guests, likes politics at some. They might not like the politics that they're looking at in their country, but politics is something that almost any intelligent person is going to be interested in to some level. But I've never, and this is the first time I've ever watched a debate, and really it was to see the ridiculous things that Donald Trump may say, or how he was going to be attacked. I haven't watched a Democratic debate this year, so that's on the core of it. Even if you hate Donald Trump, and I don't know if I like him or hate him. I met him in person once or twice for about 45 seconds, and I know people who have had conversations with him, and I've never met, and there's not a lot of people. I know 3 or 4 people. I mean, it's not like I know 50 people that have talked to him. I knew his daughter at one time. She went to a private school in Connecticut when I was growing up, and a friend of mine was friends with her. And so I don't get it. I think everything he's doing right now is pretty much a farce in order to get him into the general election, where I think he's going to change. I don't think he's actually projecting himself as a person on the political. I just don't. I don't. From anybody that ever known to talk to him, I don't get that. But anyway, he's a marketer and he's doing a great job. So.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. Do you still trade for yourself with all these other responsibilities that you have? Because in my own personal experience, facilitating a live trading social community that distracts me from my own trading, I lose a little bit of an edge in my own trading because I'm facilitating, showing other people's work, interviewing people like you. Do you still trade for yourself?
I don't. I don't have time, like you meant. I do. I paper trade in my head all the time. When I see a setup or something on a chart, I think, oh, I'll come back in 2 days and see where that is. And but to be honest, it's even outside of the time, because the place to trade doesn't take that much time, but research behind it may. But it's really I don't have. When our own clients, or even people that don't trade for us, lose money, it kind of still hurts me. I still get that feeling when I see a client that has been with us for a long time, and I'm checking something on his account, he may have asked for something, or a lock check, or I'm looking through journals or fixed messages for something for one of our clients, and I see them, losing money, or I see him take a hit. It really stresses me out at the same point it did when I traded. So I think the stress level more on the administrative side, at least the way we do it here at fxpig. I think we're much more personal, I think, than most brokers are. So it hurts. So
okay, there's another unique feature for fxpig. You actually care about your customers.
We, and I know it's a cheesy tagline, so it's hard to use, but it's the truth. We really, and I think any of our clients would testify to the fact that. I probably communicate with 30 to 40% of our client base, not on a rate. I wouldn't say it's not a daily basis, that's for sure, but at least 30 to 40% of our base know who I am and have contacted me personally at least once, and it's probably higher than that on the only once aspect, because there's a lot of clients that I deal with on a frequent basis. So yeah, we do. I know how it is to be a trader. I know what it's like when you have to call. You're sending an email and you get a coupon. You know what it's like when you see when you see something happen in the market. There's a 45 pip spread spike for 30 seconds, but you didn't get filled on your sell when it popped, and you think you got cheated. I know what those things feel like, but I also know what happened, and I can explain it to a client, and they can understand. And I don't just tell them, that's the price or what have you. So it's a different it's a different business model. That's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. I know brokers spend a lot of money to get customers, not so much in retention. Do you provide research and education for people that trade through you so that they have a better shot at being successful?
We in the past, really, our client base has been that already know how to trade, at least on a certain level. So we didn't have that push initially to give any type of education, though we do give insight, because when we communicate with people and they ask us about, let's say, for instance, I have an EA that trades like this, they send us, what type of should I look for? How should I trade it? Do you have any information on maybe what I should do? And we would go through and look at it and tell them, look, This isn't going to work. I will be honest with you right off the bat. This is not going to work on any.
So you actually back test EAs for people. You've done that.
Well, we actually have done that in the past. We don't say we have done it. We have done it. So the fact, you get people that have an EA or a system, and they say, look, I've been trading this on demo, and it's been doing well. Which of your feeds? We do offer 2 different feeds, and I'll get into that. But which of your feeds do you think would be best? And we would look at it and say, this isn't going to work anywhere, and we'll tell them why, or we'll tell them this, this because of this. As far as we are starting a little bit with education on the new website. It's a little bit different than most places. I don't like our education. We have one video, for instance, now that we produced in-house called the Liquidity Myth, and it's on our website. And I basically created all the copy in that I created myself, and it basically talks about the 5 trillion or 6 trillion or whatever number somebody wants to throw at you, which is always wrong. It's possible to get the overall flow of the forex market because everything you do, when I'm in Mexico and I use my debit card with U.S. dollars on it to buy a soda at the local 7-Eleven, that's a forex transaction somewhere. To be able to really contemplate what the forex market is as far as forex between banks, it's impossible. So 5 trillion, 6 trillion, 20 trillion, you can put a number on it, it's impossible. But if you take that 5 trillion number and you divide it by by ticks, and you take 80% of it goes to the Euro-USD pair on a daily basis on average, you're really talking about like 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 per tick that's available in the market across all venues. So to be honest, liquid forex isn't that liquid. So that we talk about with our education that we plan to provide and that we do provide really isn't what's a pip, what's a tick, what's a trend line, how do I put a MACD on my chart, none of those things. It's more education about how the market works and what they can do to take advantage of how the market works rather than the banks taking advantage of them.
All right, you bring up an interesting point. And then I'd like to invite you to show your website. Since you had a launch on it, you can share your screen and maybe show your website. But a lot of people, since all this new regs and all the bad press about banks front-running and using chat rooms to trade, a lot of banks have shaved their FX departments, and there's a lot less liquidity in the market than the lack of liquidity that you said already existed, that it's really hype how deep the markets are. Have you noticed in the last 5 years the structure of the FX market, like bonds used to be the most liquid market in the world and they're not anymore? Have you noticed that shift towards maybe we had the unpeg of the Swiss last year that was a debacle for a lot of firms. Have you noticed market structure being less stable over the last few years?
I don't know if it's stability, more so that the FX market is changing because of the risk factors involved in being a market maker. So from the banks down, and regulation, I know this is probably a topic, but regulation on the levels it is right now doesn't really protect the people. What it does is it limits large institutions to be able to use their own money and create their own parameters on how they're going to use that money to be able to generate returns and be able to remove risk off other parts of the portfolio.
Therefore, they pulled back from it.
Exactly. So banks can't even speculate anymore on many different aspects of the market. They're not allowed to. So now, your regular 99%, let's say, assume that means that their money is safer. But that's not really the case, because your money never went into an FX pool at Barclays if you didn't want it to. Barclays may have taken 0.00001% of their deposits and speculated with them. But that doesn't mean that your money is actually at risk. But now the bank can't take risks in certain avenues. So what they need to do then is reduce risk in certain avenues and change business models in others. And one place they're definitely changing their business model is Forex. And I can give you a direct example. We have a system on our feed that's called the Door. It's a PAM. It's been trading with us for almost since our launch. It basically trades at the rollover, so it trades at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States, right when the banks shut down for the day, and it trades for an hour, and it does extremely well based on certain aspects of the market that happen around rollover. And one of those is illiquidity, which is odd because most systems don't make money on illiquid markets; they lose it. So in 2010, 11, 12, this system did phenomenal. And this is all STP. It's never been traded on a market-making feed. So this is all straight processing to some type of bank, aggregated bank or aggregated ECN type of liquidity. Banks have over the last, especially since the Swiss last year, but even before that, have started, you used to have a bank would have a desk, and the desk would have humans behind it. And they used algorithms as well, but they had humans. And humans would look at the book, understand things, and know that, okay, we have people long in euro, that's a risk for us right now, but we have news coming out, people are going to short. There would be some type of human, human mind behind the book, and they would allow different types of systems to trade. Even if it was an immediate risk for them, they knew eventually they would look at that system, they would look at those trades, see how long they were held, they would find out, more about how coming in and allow it, because they knew later on they could resell that liquidity and they would make money. Now it's pretty much all algo-based, and the algos are pretty simple. It's essentially the bank loses money, regardless of how they lose money. That doesn't mean you made money, they lost money, but the bank money, and they stop accepting that flow. And we've had this system get stopped at several different banks inside our aggregation. And it happens monthly. One bank will shut us down, 2 or 3 banks will put us on an aggressive on that flow. We'll have to go back, renegotiate, change some, have the system, the person that runs the system change some parameters of that system so that the timing of the trades are a little different. Anyway, it's since the Swiss especially, it's gotten very difficult for, let's say, algorithms on the retail institutional side that aren't market makers to make money consistently, and that's really because when they trade big, if nobody's really going to look at you. But even 10 lots now, people are going to look at you, because even at $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million a ticket, which 10 years ago, 5 years ago was nobody cared. People care now. Flow is definitely toxicity. The definition of toxicity on an institutional level has changed, and it's getting more difficult. That's for sure for people, algorithms to make the money they used to make.
What great insight you provided to us today, Kevin, the workings of FX brokers, and although the audio from my side wasn't good because I hear myself a few times repeating here. Do you want to show your website? If you go to the upper left-hand corner, there's a screen share. It's a green box with an arrow, and you could show your website. And this community at FX Street, based in Barcelona, a lot of international traders that might be interested in checking you out. So there's your website, www.fxpig. You guys have talked to. You're the CEO, correct, Kevin?
That's correct.
All right, so one of the first CEOs of a FX broker firm to come here to educate people about behind the scenes of what happens at an FX firm, and appreciate you edifying the community about the brokerage side of the business.
We've done things like this. I thank you very much for the invitation and the ability to come on and talk to everybody at F Street, and hopefully we'll get some people that may want to discuss it further. I'm always open to at least try and give as much insight as I can. I know that from my trader days till now, while I may not have learned much more, I think I spent a lot of time learning about trading and different when I was a trader, and I still I think the systems I used back then to enter trades on naked charts would probably still serve me today. But as far as the other side, it definitely helps a trader know how their trades are going to be received, almost as much as the trades they make. So like I said, we're here to assist in that manner, and I think it's beneficial, and hopefully clients think that as well.
Well, I wish you good hunting and much success, Kevin. Really nice to meet you, my trading warrior brother and CEO of an FX firm, and let's keep in touch, and appreciate you being here and spending your most important currency, which is time, with us today in our live analysis room here at FX Street.
For sure. Thanks a lot, Dale, and I appreciate it. And hopefully maybe one day we can get back on and discuss about some other things, maybe not exactly fxpig related, but just Forex related. I think it'll be a fun talk.
Okay, Kevin, have a great weekend, and may pips rain down on you and your clients for the rest of 2016.
Thank you, Dale. Thanks very
much. And to you, I could say I'm looking forward to having a cerveza in about 5-6 hours. Well, maybe longer than that. So,
well, salud, and I hope it's nice.
All right, buddy. Everyone, thank Kevin Kukeska, CEO at fxpig. You could follow him at his Twitter handle and go to his website. Take a look. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Dale.